Welcome to my channel, where there are interesting and equally sensational stories. Listen to today's story. Technology means we're constantly accessible and available. It also makes it easier to cheat and even easier to get caught. All it takes is texting the wrong person at the right time. So why do people even try? What's the appeal? Let's try to answer these questions today on our space. Up first, a cheater's slip-up turns out to be the most liberating experience to ever happen to Op. Man's wife accidentally texted him instead of her affair partner. This was posted 10 years ago, but the OP has since deleted his account. Another time capsule of Reddit a decade ago. Apparently, I missed my wife's lover by only a few minutes. I found out when she texted me accidentally instead of him. Reddit? When did you know for sure it was over? I went on a business trip this weekend and got home at 6:25 a.m. I didn't want to wake her or the kids, so I sat quietly in the living room watching TV. A few minutes later, I get a text from her. Thanks for staying over, babe. I love sleeping next to you. Obviously, I wasn't here last night. I'm still on the couch and haven't responded. I think she went back to sleep and has no idea she accidentally texted me. Monday, July 30, 2012. I had to go to work before confronting her. I think it was better anyway. Since it gave me time to think about what to say instead of rushing to anger, I asked my assistant to go to the 711 next door and see if they have Shinerbach. If they don't, I'll ask him to go as far as Publix. For science. Edit. We didn't find any. She finally texted me at work and said that her girlfriend stayed over. I didn't respond. 3 p.m. Eastern. Update, Tuesday, July 31, 2012. I left work last night and went to dinner with one of my work partners. I didn't say a word to my wife when I came to bed. In the morning, I mentioned the text after I woke up. I told her I was surprised she would use that language with a girlfriend. She broke down and admitted that she had a platonic girlfriend and a not-so-platonic ex-boyfriend over while I was away. She admitted it wasn't the first time. I calmly told her I would have to think about how I feel about the situation and let her know whether we should separate. Thanks, Reddit. You prepared me the worst way in advance. It's nice to get the hive mind's opinion sometimes before jumping into a rash and complicated situation or acting brash and angry as a reaction. I really appreciate everyone's comments and help figuring out the next steps. Here's some relevant comments. I thought it could be innocent, but I've only heard her call one other person, babe, me. I also considered that she wants me to know and her subconscious sabotaged her. There are a lot of suggestions on the original post as to what he should do. Update post, August 3, 2012, title. Well, guys, I'm a big dumb idiot. She knew I was home and just wanted me to come up. When have any of you misread a text message and almost ruined everything? Or at least I really wish that's how it happened. It didn't. Turns out I was right when I posted this thread. I missed her longtime lover by just under 15 minutes. Kudos to a specific editor for suggesting this clever title in the original thread. Edit. Guys, before I moved out, I saw 2 lawyers and talked to an old frat buddy lawyer in my state who also happens to work at the state attorney's office. They all said that moving out won't hurt my case by pulling all of my finances away from the family would. That's abandonment. Leaving an unsafe situation for the good of you or your children isn't abandonment. F me. Right? I'm very sorry to abandon Reddit without an update to this thread since Tuesday. A hazy fog of disbelief has clouded my world. Everything happy has disappeared. The quiet nuclear family life, 2 kids, a dog, a 4-bedroom home in the suburbs. Since Tuesday morning, I have learned that this happened before. She took him to an expensive hotel on the beach near our home to eat at the award-winning restaurant. I introduced her to this place on her anniversary last year. She revealed to me that she is interested in a swinger lifestyle. And she's already been to swinger clubs with him and a girlfriend. She wants to keep our marriage together, but wants to keep the lover as well. The funny thing is, I'm not a jealous person. Neither am I controlling or demanding or think that I can force someone to love only me. If she hadn't gone secret agent on me and tried to hide it, I would have considered it. I moved out from the home and into my office until I can find a condo or apartment close to our primary home and my daughter's school. I've given my lead engineer all of our bank info so he can run the company in case I get help up with any problems. I wonder how many editors were hoping it was just a mistake. Alas, life sometimes has a way of being Ashford entirely predictable as you imagined it would. Another relevant comment or information about what went down. I wasn't going to move out originally. A lot happened since Tuesday night. During one of our discussions about this lover, things turned argumentative, then violent. She has history of violence. Names were called, fists were thrown, and eventually objects were broken. She called the police and claimed she wanted me out. The police sided with me and said there was no evidence I abused her, so they can't ask me to leave my own home. My daughter watched, not able to go to bed, while the police questioned Daddy. I left for a friend's house and got severely drunk on whiskey. The next morning, I returned home and demanded she leave. She left for about 20 hours while I took care of the kids. She came back at night and locked herself in the bedroom. And texted me that the kids needed her, and she can't abandon them. I told her there is no way to live with the violence, and one of us had to leave. Sadly, I had to be that person. I have been going to the house every morning to wake up with them and at night to put them to bed, the kids that is. I will rent a new place that can hold all of us and move there in the next few weeks. Then she can move wherever she can afford on her own. People in the comments criticize him for leaving, but most agree he did the right thing. Thank you. It's not like it was an easy decision to make, and I pray it doesn't bite me in the butt later. But you know what would be worse? Staying. Getting in another fight. Having the police come again and having not so understanding police officers again. You know what would be worse than losing my house in the divorce? Going to jail because the police believed her story. Screwing up my life, my company, my future, and the future of my kids and their family income, the money they need to eat, etc. Staying would be so much worse. The rest of it I could deal with. I'm not an absentee father, and she'd have to make up evidence in court if she wanted to somehow prove that I was, whether or not I am sleeping in the marital home. Final update post, August 15, 2012. This is an update to the story where I caught my wife cheating in a text message, and when I confronted her, she admitted to having multiple affairs and a secret swinger lifestyle. Thank you to those following my cuckold non-fiction story. Sadly, this is true. For men's rights, I feel like I should keep a log to help other men when they find themselves in the same situation. 1,000 other people are facing the same situation I am today and right now. I could spend another night in the bed she had other people in. I'm not prude, but the lying, cheating, and stealing killed our marriage faster than a cancer eating away at your insides, and it hurt just as bad. I left my career as a successful engineer. I put the company in the hands of my highest executive and told him I might not be back. I still offered to fly in to close any big sales. The season of my life is over. And it's time for some shaken-up life-altering changes. I have a $100,000 in open personal credit, $50,000 in open company credit, a paid-off car. It's a Lexus ISF. Thanks for asking. Enough savings and residual income do not work for 6 months. 2 kids who depend on me in every way financially and stability-wise. I've already done the typical bachelor stuff you forget about when you're married, upgraded to an iPhone, purchased new wheels and speakers for my sports mid-level luxury sports car, upgraded my battle station and took a vacation to Disneyland. Gee, really? I'm getting so much hate for this. Yes, I talk like a teenager on Reddit. Is that a crime? I want a new life. Reddit. What would you do? What did you do? Travel. Buy crap. Work out until you look like an Olympic athlete. Spill your guts, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me your midlife crisis successes and failures. Here are some relevant comments. Why did you leave your job? I did what made a lot of money and loved every minute of it, but I realized I started liking the sales part of the business and not the execution as much. My true passion is elsewhere. I'm hoping to break into the special effects industry, practical effects, explosions, model building, etc. I've been around computers too long, and I just can't do it anymore. What I would give to have worked on a Nolan Batman flick, rigging lights for a sound effects shot. Well, I also have residuals for my company still coming in every 2 weeks, not exactly as high as my take-home pay, but still enough to be okay. More about custody. We're splitting the kids realistically. For the moment they live in the primary home, but many nights of the week they are here, and I put them to bed and wake up with them. Eventually, I will move back to the primary home or move the kids here permanently. And let the ex take them several days out of the week. It was just a compromise since I'm the one materially supporting the household, their food, clothes, gas, etc. What does this have to do with men's rights? From the other thread, there's a lot of debate about how I should handle the ex, kick her to the curb versus a more empathetic approach, whether or not I should fight for full custody, etc. I'm trying to make it out alive and hopefully document some of it for other people going through the same, infidelity, lying, separation, etc. From a man's point of view. The op continued to post sporadically up until about 3 years ago. He did leave one more comment in relation to his ex-wife. I was married to a woman who couldn't wait to die so she could get to heaven because her dad was there. Alright, now let's check in with some community comments. D-Save says the last comment sure draws speculation. Dusty Daisy says, what a twist ending with that comment. I do know it isn't uncommon to want to die when a loved one passes away. So you can join them. But of course, it would depend on how actively the person wants to die. Squid Monarch, he says, he really should have consulted with his attorney friends before leaving his job, because that's the kind of thing that can really F you over in a child support hearing. Even if they ended up with 5,050 custody in many jurisdictions, the higher earning parent still has to pay as a lower earning parent. Wow, I feel like technology really opens up opportunities for moments like this. I feel bad for Op. However, it is refreshing to know that he's in a good place financially to be able to really start over. I think that's a super healthy mindset to have. What better time to pursue your passions than when everything seems to be falling apart? It seems like the best time to build a new foundation and chase your dreams. Do you think that's because we don't feel tied down to a partner anymore? Do you think it may be because we finally have the time to put ourselves first? Maybe it puts things into perspective. What are your thoughts? Next up, O. P's long look in the mirror. 10 days after the pair. Hey, all. It's been exactly 1 month since D-Day when my husband, 30 male, of 2 years. 9 total told me 29 female that he had feelings for his new coworker. He is a first responder that works long hours, and this person became his new partner 3 months prior. Before D-Day, I started to notice him staying at work a little later, met up with coworkers on days off, texting more often than he would to anyone, but he had never given me a reason to worry. On the night, he told me he had feelings for his coworker. He had said that they acknowledge their feelings, but he had told me that he told her he'd never act on it as he was married. Was completely torn apart by this news and asked him to stay in another room for the night. The next morning, I heard him whispering to this person on the phone. I had caught him in the tail end of the conversation saying, "I feel so bad. She's such a good person," and ended it by saying, "Miss you." I immediately confronted him. He lied and said he tells all his coworkers I missed you. I broke down in absolute rage and sadness that he was clearly having an emotional affair. He denied it all and said that it wasn't what I thought, but he refused to show me their text messages when I asked. He then goes on to tell me that he has been unhappy for a year and that he wants to work on our marriage. While we had been through 3 of his traumatic surgeries, his alcoholism, we had stable marriage, and this shocked me. In that moment, I asked him to cut her out of his life, change shifts, block her, anything, and he refused and said, "She's a good friend that I can't cut out of my life." That was enough for me to leave for a week and stay with my parents. While I was at my parents', he officially confirmed that he wanted a divorce. When I returned back home, I tried to have a civil conversation with him, and he asked that he'd please respect me while I'm still here, and not be with her. He agreed and said that he was going to stay at our close friend's place. Turns out he stayed at her apartment for the week. 7 days after he officially ended it with me, I received a Facebook message from a fair partner's husband, notifying me that my husband and the fair partner are dating. I confronted my husband and he said, "Yeah, she's my girlfriend." 10 days after the marriage ended, and he told me he's just trying to be happy. You should try to be happy. He won't admit that he did anything wrong during the marriage to lead to a relationship directly after we were done, and will not acknowledge he left me for her. He won't acknowledge how crappy it is that he moved on so quickly. I've been gaslit by him, so any insight from those who've experienced similar would be greatly appreciated. Update. Wayward husband's bid for a final pick-me dance. I probably post here more than I should, but I thought you'd all get a chuckle out of this. I was packing my house this past week for the final move out, and I had notified my wayward husband that this would be happening as a courtesy. He opted to avoid me and my parents by sleeping over at a fair partner's apartment for the week, which I was okay with, seeing as little of him as possible. One day, he texted me asking when I'll be at the house, and I responded that I'd be there all day in order to accomplish everything. He then asked if it's okay that his affair partner, new girlfriend, drops him off and waits for him to pick up a few things if I were a man in the house. I had to laugh because he somehow formed this completely avoidable situation in hopes that I'd create further drama for them to feed off of. I told him I didn't care what he did. When he came by, I was blasting music and stayed on task in a far-off bedroom. You should have seen his disappointment when I didn't approach him or make a scene. He comes up and goes, "Are you going to talk to me?" And he gave him a cold shrug. He tried to make small talk and I shrugged it off. I had to laugh at the disappointed look he had as he left. Poor cheater couldn't have his cake that day. Update. APs are just dirty mattresses. Possibly my most unhinged post yet, but I'm riding this wave as it comes. My wayward husband is in the process of refinancing our house and in his name in order to pay me out. He and I have had mostly no contact since we separated, and I moved out of state, but it did let him trigger me this week with his instigating texts. I felt really bad about responding to it, but tried to snap out of it. Yesterday, he boards me the appraisal, and since this is my first experience with a refinance, I didn't realize there would be photos of the home from the appraisal, which was after I had moved out. On top of the house being an absolute disaster, I noticed that he dragged the master bedroom mattress back into the house from the garage, which I put out there to go to the dumpster after I moved out. Prior to his affair and our separation, my wayward husband and I discussed getting a new mattress as it was almost 10 plus years old and a freebie from my grandma's house. He hated this mattress, preferred the guest bedroom mattress, and so I didn't think twice about throwing it out when I moved out. So seeing this mattress in the photos, laying on the empty bedroom on the floor with the crumpled blankets, I knew it was for him and a fair partner. This 30-year-old man dragged our decade-old used mattress back from the dirty garbage for her to lay on. So here's your sign that our waywards aren't treating the affair partners better. They aren't going to treat them better. In fact, of hair burners that are fully aware of the hurt they're causing us are the dirty mattresses they dragged out of the garbage to lay on. Thought I'd try this out on the subreddit before I told this one to my therapist tomorrow. Lastly, please learn from my mistake and don't check the appraisal photos. Update. He won't sign the divorce papers. A week after D-Day, my wayward husband went for the final discard by choosing to end our marriage to begin his relationship with a fair partner. During those thoroughly confusing and traumatizing days after he chose to end the marriage, he stressed having an amicable uncontested divorce without lawyers. In addition, he felt that I was not owed anything from the one shared asset, which is the house that we paid to pour together. Of course, I got a lawyer, but compromised as an uncontested divorce. I was even nice enough to pay for the dang divorce. He's since refinanced the house to pay me out fairly. Now that it's done, we have no other assets to split. I have moved out of state. We've been living apart for 3 months now with no contact, yet he's refusing to sign the waiver for the divorce papers. I refuse to break the no contact despite his effort to contact about irrelevant things. I feel that he's forcing me into having to shell out for a contested divorce when there's nothing left to split. I'm not really sure what game he is trying to play, and I'm kind of terrified he's got something up his sleeve because my assets are liquid. I can't understand after he discarded me and said vile things to me, why he'd wanted to delay the process. He couldn't wait to flaunt a fair partner on Facebook days after he told me to F off and pack your crap and get out. While a fair partner is gleefully planning out their trashy wedding on Pinterest, I feel like I'm going insane. Update: divorce to cheat her today. Update: today is the day. 1 year ago, I found my way where her husband was having an affair with his coworker. Today, after the most painful year of my life, I have officially divorced my cheating husband. I'm not going to say that this process went perfectly, and I'm not going to say I always said or did all the right things, but I can't help but be extremely proud of myself given the circumstances. After D-Day, I moved out of state, unplanned, got my first apartment alone, started therapy, went completely no contact with wayward husband, affair partner, forever, got promoted, getting back in the gym 5 times a week and indulging in old hobbies. The hardest part of this process for me was realizing that this man, with all that he put me through, turned me into a husk of a human that I gave and gave and gave until I was nothing and discarded. That is where the work therapy needed to start. Somewhere within this year, I started waking up and feeling like ending it all and start taking control of the outcome of an otherwise uncontrollable situation. I couldn't control the betrayal trauma, but I could control how I let it affect me. I could work on where I went wrong in the marriage. I could build myself back up again. This year has been that long look in the mirror that I needed, but I will never thank wayward husband for. So my advice in healing is to keep working on yourself until you thank them for leaving. But don't do that. They don't deserve your gratitude. My sincerest thank you to the people in this sub who have given me advice and encouragement. You are my only voice of reason in this for a long time, and it truly saved my life. Thank you. Oh, P. I'm so sorry. They both cheated on their partners with each other. I don't understand the appeal of a new coworker. Is it this idea of fresh meat? Is it because oftentimes we spend more time at work than home and thus we spend more time with our coworkers? I feel like the people we are at work aren't actually all that genuine. Additionally, you should be proud of yourself to coming to the conclusion that you can control how you let the situation like this affect you. And yeah, maybe you don't necessarily need to thank them up, but thank yourself for putting yourself first, having the self-respect you need to take care of yourself and get through something like this. Wishing you all the best, op. Thank you for sharing your story. What do you think? And thank you for joining us today on our space. Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. We'd hate for you to miss out. If you want to listen to more stories from me, check out our lounge or to feature a larger variety of non-cheating related stories. See you there.